Allah asked us if we don't recognize Him, am I not your master? Now, when I say, am I not? When you say, alastu, am I not? Like you go to your friend and say, am I not your friend? Then you're already expecting an answer. What's the answer supposed to be? Of course you are. Why would you say that? So Allah asked a question that, by the way He asked the question, already suggests that He expects not just for us to know the answer, but to be embarrassed by the question and say, why would you say that? So the answer is, Bala, of course, why wouldn't it be? Bala, shahidna, of course, we're testifying. You want us to testify? We will, shahidna. So we go out of our way to say, why wouldn't we know that you are our master? Now Allah didn't just say, am I not God? He said, am I not your master? Believing in God is something. Believing in a master is something else. People can believe in God and that God has no relationship with them. Right? You can believe in a God that created the universe. That's an invisible force. It's the unmoved mover, whatever philosophers may have called it before. And okay, it has nothing to do with me. It's this thing. It's God. It's the force in Star Wars, whatever it is. But it doesn't mean I have a personal relationship with it. The very first orientation we have in Iman was before we even came here. And in that orientation, Allah didn't just tell us His name, that He is Allah, that He is the creator of everything. That's not what He told us. The first thing He told us about Himself is His relationship with us. That He's the master and we're the slaves. That's the first bit of our education with Allah. And that started before we even got here. Then we come out of the wombs of our mothers. Then we come out of our moms and we're babies and we start growing up and our parents teach us about Allah and we start looking at the world around us. Now one of the areas that I wanted to talk about has already been addressed, is when people have hard times, they start losing their faith in Allah. The only brief thing I'll add to that conversation, it's a side conversation, is that Allah Azza wa Jal did not leave us hanging when it comes to that problem. It's a very real problem, that when people have very difficult time in their life, that they stop believing in Allah. They get so angry, how could Allah let all of this happen? How can you tell me Allah is so merciful and I went through these terrible, terrible things in my life? Why wasn't He there to help me? That's a very real problem. So Allah does not just give us theoretical answers to that problem, like just trust Allah and believe in Him and that's enough. Allah actually tells us very real historical stories, people's lives that have some very serious problems. A lot of times, for example, just on that side note, a lot of times, for example, parents can lose faith when their children are very sick, or when their children pass away, or when the children are taken, may Allah protect our children. But when that happens, then, why would Allah do that to a child? Why would that happen to a child? Is there a child mentioned in the Quran that went through very bad difficulty and a parent went through equally bad difficulty, knowing that he doesn't even know what happened with his child? Can you think of anybody that's talked about in the Quran like that? Yusuf a.s. and his dad. They're both in a traumatic situation. A child being kidnapped, a child being taken to a different country, a child being sold as a slave. And this one thing for parents to know, my child died. It's a lot more painful to know, I don't even know what happened with my child. I don't even know if he's okay. I don't know what's happening to him. That's even more painful. That pain doesn't go away. At least I would know what happened. At least I know his pain is ending. He's gone. I don't even know that. Allah did not just tell us to be patient. He taught us, look, this has happened to people before. Some really terrible things have happened, and these things, when they happened, they didn't take these people further away from Allah. They actually brought them closer to Allah. So why don't you learn what they were like? Maybe you'll learn something about yourself. Right? That's what Allah Azza wa Jalla, that's about difficulty. But that's not what I want to deal with directly. I want to deal with something else. I told you there's two parts of us, right? One of us was already there, fully mature, knowledgeable, and the most important bit of knowledge, that part of us, our ruh has. What's that most important bit of knowledge? The one Allah made it a point to mention in the Quran. That part of us already knows that we have a master, and that is Allah. That we have a master. Now, you know that a master is someone who has all the authority. He tells you what to do, and you do it. That's it. He tells you what to do, and you do it. Now, what if you don't do what your master tells you? Don't you get in trouble? In this world, there were slave owners before, and they were masters of people. If a slave doesn't do what the master tells him, does a slave get in trouble? Does he get tortured? Does he get beat up? Yes, he does. If you and I know we have a master, deep down inside, it's basically Allah is telling us deep down inside, in our subconscious, it's a big word for kids, but deep down inside we know, all human beings know that Allah is in fact our master.